video is on tax and tip. This is probably one of the most useful things that you'll be able to learn to use in real life. You are always going to have to figure out how much money you need to purchase something, including tax, or how much to tip on a bill. So to do this, we use 1% and 10% benchmarks. And to do that, we think of the fraction, the percent bar model. And if I'm going to divide this into 10 parts to find out 10%, one of them of 400 would be 40, would go in each. And if I wrote it all the way across and added all of those up, it would add up to 400. And to get this 40, it's as easy as dividing it into 10 equal pieces or moving the decimal point one place to the left. One place to the left equals 40, so it's 40 all the way across. Well, what about 1%? You would actually take one of these squares representing 10% and divide it into 1% for each bar. And if the whole thing was 40, each little bar would be 4. Now another way to do this is to move your decimal point 2 places to the left to get to 1%. So 1, 2. So it would definitely be $4. So $4 is 1% of 400. And again, if you had 10 of these within each 10 of these, it would all multiply out to equal 400. So how can you use this to help you find 11% of 400 or 23% of 400? Well, if you know what 10 and what 1% is, so if you had 10%, it would equal 40. And to find 11%, you would need 1%, and that would equal 4. So 11% would equal 44. And then to get 23%, you would do 10% would be 40, and another 10% would be 40, and 3% would be 3 times 4, which is 12. And so for a total of 23%, you would get 92. And so you can do that with any variation. As long as you know 10% and 1%, you can get to any of these other percents. And so 10% of 400, like we said, is 40. Move it one place to the left. And 1% is move it 2 places to the left, so it's 4. And so then you can use these to find the following. So 34% would be 10%, which equals 40. And you do that times 3 for 30, that equals 3 times 40 is 120. And then 4% would be 1%. And 1% was 4, so 4 times 4 is, so for 4%, it would equal 16. And so for 34%, it would equal 136. So now, knowing what you know, I want you to find 12%. We found 11%, but find 12% of 400 and see what you get. And then 65%. You could break this down into 6 times 10%, and then 5% is half of 10%, and half of 40 is 20. So 40 times 6 is 240, and then you would add it up, and it would be 260, would be 65%. So figure out 12% of 400 and then come back and check your work. So 10% would equal 40, and 1% would equal 4, and 1% would equal 4. So you add all of that up and you get 48. So tax is, you're used to tax. It's the amount added to a total purchase price. So if you buy a drink and a candy bar from Valero, there's going to be tax on it. And that is usually given as a percent. They'll say there's 8% tax. And you guys know, if you buy something for $1, it's really going to cost you $1.08. But we're going to learn how to find out how much this 8% is over different amounts. So you'll see a question like, Juan buys some clothes at the mall which cost $56.38. The tax rate is 8%. So how much tax does he pay? So you're going to use this amount, and you're going to use your percent bar model and what you know about finding 10% and 1% to find 8%. So you could either do 10 minus 2%, or you could do 5, which is half of 10, plus 3%. And then you will add the total amount that he pays. You'll find the percent, the tax, and then you'll add it to the amount and get the total amount. So let's try one. Jose buys 2 video games for $50 each. What is the cost of the 2 games? Well, it's $100, right? And if the tax rate is 8%, how much is the tax on the 2 games? Well, to get to 8%, we're going to need to get 10 and 5 first. So that's 10, and if it's $100, so $10 would go in every spot, and that would add to 100. So one of these would be 10%, but we need to know 8%. So 10% equals $10. And then we need to find 8%. So we need to subtract out 2%. Well, 1%, if I divided this into 10 parts, is $1. So subtract out 1% minus $1 and subtract out 1%, and that's minus $1, for a total of 10 minus 1 is 8%. And 10 minus 1 is $8, since it's out of 100. So the total cost is $8 is the tax. So $8 plus $100 is $108, and that's the total amount. And you could find half of this and then add 3%. And half would be 5, and adding 3% would be 3, and so you'd get 8 also. So now we're going to look at tip. Tip is the amount of money that you pay over the amount for services received. Examples: in restaurants, you tip waiters and waitresses, and in salon services, you tip the hairstylist, or the person that provides services, and you tip a delivery driver. There's other people that you tip, and it might be a percent or it might be a set amount. But these are most of the people that you tip percentage. It's the percent on top of what you purchase. So an example would be Susan goes out to eat at her favorite restaurant. Her bill totals $12.37. She is happy with her waiter and wants to leave a 15% tip. So you take this amount and you're going to put it in your bar model, and you're going to figure out what 15% is. And that's the tip amount. And then you add the tip amount to the total amount to get the amount she will pay, including tip. So let's see what this looks like. So we have a cost of a meal is $24. And so 10% of that we'll put in our percent bar model. One place over to get 10% is $2.40. So each one of these is going to have $2.40. Well, so 10% is $2.40. But then I need another 5%. Now, what's the relationship between 5 and 10? It's half. So I want to take half of this amount, and so this is 5%, and so half of 240 would be $1.20. So I'm taking half of this next bar amount. So the total is $3.60. Now that is the amount of tip, and then it says how much is the combined meal and tip. So that's $24 plus $3.60 for a total of $27.60. Now, some of you might think, well, I don't want to pay an extra $3.60, but you have to know that that person waited on you and served you, and they make very little per hour. So they depend on these tips, and if you get good service, it's worth paying for, and you need to include that in your amount. So this is the amount, $27.60 that you owe. So now here's a problem. Now the cost of the meal is $62, and you would like to leave a 15% tip. So it's still a 15%. So go ahead and find out what 10 is, what 5 is, and then add those up to find 15. That'll give you the tip amount, and then you'll add this and this together to get the total amount. Come back and check your answer. Okay, so I separated out my bar into 10 parts, and each part is $6.20, because if I take $62 and move my decimal point one place to the left, I get $6.20. And that's for 10%, but then I need 5% more. So half of $6.20 is $3.10. So I've got $6.20 plus $3.10 equals a total of $9.30. And then this is my tip amount, and I have to take the tip amount and add it to the base amount. So $62 plus $9.30 equals $71.30. And so that is the total amount that I would need to pay. So here's your homework check, and it's 4 questions today. The first 2 are review questions. They are percent of a number, is setting up proportions, is over of, a percent amount over 100, and put in what you know and solve for the missing number. So that's these 2. And then it's a question about George, who ate at Chili's and had an amount of $28, wants to leave 15% tip. So figure out how much that 15% tip is. That's the answer to question number 3. Question number 4 is how much did he spend in all? So you would add the $28 plus the tip amount to get the total amount. And put this in your homework form, and you can come to class tomorrow and find out how you did and practice with tax and tip.